Hey, girlfriend. Welcome back. And thank you for listening to another great episode of Girlfriend, Let Me Tell You the podcast because I have something to say. I'm your host, Latasha. On my podcast, I discuss topics that most single Black mothers can relate to, and I even share a few laughs with you all. So let's go ahead and get into today's topic. Okay, go me. So I have a microphone that I bought when I first started my podcast because I could not hear myself when I was recording on a laptop that I had. I was trying to just speak into the microphone that comes with the laptop. Well, earlier this year, yeah, this year, I went ahead and invested in buying a whole new laptop because the other one, you know how the cords mess up and you either have to wiggle it or you have to wrap it around something to make it work so that it'll charge the laptop. Well, that wasn't working anymore. And I bought a generic charger for the laptop, but that wasn't working either. It kept making the laptop get extra hot or it would get extra hot. So I couldn't use that. And then somehow the top cover of the laptop was bent. So whenever I closed it, it bent even more. It was cracking. You could see the inside of it. And then it just stopped working. So I had to buy a new laptop. Excuse me. I had to invest in a new laptop if I wanted to continue to do things, because I have my jewelry business and then I also have my podcast. So tonight, I'm gonna tell y'all something funny. My microphone is actually right there across the room from me. I'm sitting on the bed, and the microphone is on the floor with my headphones, and they are both just sitting there, walking distance. But I've already gotten in my bed, and I'm already comfortable, and I don't feel like going over there to get them. So I was like, let me see if I can record on my laptop without the microphone. And so far, so good. It seems as though I sound good on here. Well, I did when I just recorded a little snippet just to test it. But I sound good, so I'm going to go with this. So, because I'm talking about investing, I'm not talking about investing, but I use the word investing because I invested in that microphone and those headphones and this laptop so that I could do my podcast. Tonight, I am going to talk about what you would do with somebody else's money. Now, I know what I would do with my money because I'm doing it. I'm enjoying life. I'm paying my bills on time. And whenever I see a little something that I think would be a great investment for whatever endeavor I am going after right now, that's what I'm going to do with my money. But what would I do with someone else's money? What would you do with somebody else's money? Let's get into it. All right. So the reason why I thought of this topic, which is what would you do with somebody else's money, is because I was watching that balloon show. I don't know if y'all have seen it where there's either a line of men who are holding balloons to see if they want to pop them if they're interested in a woman, or it's a line of women holding balloons and they pop them if they're not interested in the man that comes out, right? Well, there was this one episode with these young people, and and the guy asked the girl, he said, "Would you take a charge for me?" And she was like, "What?" And he was like, "Would you take a charge for me?" And she was like, "It depends on what the charge is." Well, her answer should have been no, because she is just now meeting this guy. He's already asking you to be stupid. No, I wouldn't do that. So then I was thinking about there's a lot of guys. I remember when I was younger, whenever guys would be like, "I need a ride or die chick," that used to be a song. I cannot remember who used to sing it, but there was a song called "I Need a Ride or Die Chick," and I used to sing it, but I was never like, "Yeah, I'm that person." However, was wondering if you ended up knowing somebody who asked you to possibly hold some money for them, hold some paraphernalia for them, hide something for them. If they go to jail, can you make sure that my car is still here? Take care of my car. Can I park it at your car until I get out or whatever? So I was thinking about that. And let me tell y'all my own personal story. Back between the years of 2009 2009 and 2016, I lived in income-based housing. And if none of you are familiar with income-based housing, that means that the only people who can stay there are the people who are on your lease. So the only people on my lease was me and my baby at the time. And so nobody else could stay there. If they got caught staying there, you could possibly get kicked out or your rent could be increased. And even though my rent was not that expensive to some people, it was still a little steep because it was income based. So whenever I had my own apartment, this particular person, I'm not going to call any names, I'm not going to tell you how I know them, but this particular person had called me and said, "Hey, I have a safe and I have some money in it and I need you to hold it for me." And I said, "Hold it?" And they said, "Yeah, just put it in your closet and then nobody will see it." And I said, "No, because they do inspections at my apartment at any given time. And so there's no way you're going to get a safe in my house without anybody seeing you do it. And then I don't want them to come into my house and see a safe and assume that I have enough money to pay more than what I'm paying in my rent." And they was like, "No, no, 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 no. I can bring it over there and make sure they don't see it. And you can keep the safe for me until I come back to get it. I'll break you off a little something." Now, here's my thing. Whenever they asked me that, how did they know to ask me? Why would that person ask me? And here's the thing, when some people have nothing to lose or whenever they are selfish, they don't care what you lose, how you lose it, what your consequences are going to be. They do not care at all. So at this point, I'm technically poor because whenever I first moved into the income-based housing, my rent was $180, and I was good with paying that. But then they raised it up to 240. And believe it or not, that 240 it was wearing me down, right? It was wearing me down. So I was poor, didn't really have much, and I believe at this time I didn't even have a vehicle, so I'm riding the city bus. So for you to come and jeopardize, the blessing that I do have, what I'm already grateful for, why would you ask me to risk everything that I have to save something of yours? So think about that. Whenever people ask you for favors, not even you, when people ask other people for favors that would get them in trouble, it's usually somebody that has something to lose. So either it's because you don't have the means or whatever, that's why they'll say, "I'll break you off a little something," which technically is sometimes probably just a little something. It's not enough to get you out of a bind. It's not enough to say, "Oh, well, if I get caught and they kick me out of my apartment, I can just take what you give me and find somewhere else to stay." It's not like they're giving you enough that if you don't find somewhere to stay immediately, then you can stay with them. And it's never nothing like that. It's just, "Hey, will you risk everything that you have for me to be taken care of?" And you have to say yes or no. Now, I don't want to skip this part. I said no. I said no. I don't even know what they were going to break me off with, but I didn't want it because I knew, like I said, it wasn't going to be enough for me to survive off of if I got caught. Excuse me, y'all. Um, Another thing, sometimes they ask you to do those favors because of fear. You fear that if you don't do it, they're going to ask someone else to do it. And then you are not showing your loyalty to that person, whether it is a longtime friend, whether it is a family member, a sibling, whether it is the mother of your child, the father of your child, whether it is your boyfriend, your girlfriend, somebody that you're dating, it doesn't matter. They can use that to manipulate you and say, "Hey, I wouldn't ask nobody else. You're the only person I ask because I can trust you." And see, that word trust, depending on where you are in your life, if you're in a desperate state or if you're in a state of financial depression, sometimes it's easy for people to manipulate you and be like, "Hey, I asked you. I ain't asked nobody else." And it's like, "Oh, okay. So I must be special. Let me go ahead and do this." And then you realize, "I shouldn't have did this." And you may even regret doing it before anything bad ever happens. It's just after the safe is set or after the drugs are put in your house or after the money is put in your drawer, your dresser drawer, or after the car is parked in your yard, or after you've agreed to do anything and then they walk away or they leave, it seems like that same day you'd be like, "I shouldn't have did this. I should not have done this," right? And whenever somebody decides they want to put your life in risk, they do it in a way to where, "I offered you this amount of money, or I already told you how special you are. So why would you turn your back on me? Why would you change your mind? Like, I need you. You're the only person I could come to." And then you start to feel bad. It's just a whole cycle of toxicity and manipulation. That's all it is. But I know that's why people ask you, because they don't care if you lose what you have. And then as long as you keep what they gave you, If they give you money to watch, it doesn't matter if you get kicked out your house. Just make sure when you get kicked out, you still got my money. It doesn't matter if you get evicted because this car is parked on your grass and you're renting. It's just when you get evicted, make sure you take my car with you. It doesn't matter if the somebody suspects that something is going on in your home and they call the police and the police come in with a warrant to search your house and they find the other person's drugs. I don't care that you got caught with my drugs. Just make sure you take the charge. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to fall on you some way or another, and it's going to be a lose lose situation for you. But they are always winning in the end, right? Hey, I just want to take a moment to pause for the cause and remind you all that the details for this episode are down below in the show notes. And also, my sponsor for this episode, which is A Cup of Stars Tarot, those details are below as well in case you want to get your own personalized tarot card reading. Or you can go ahead and join me on my social media pages and you can do the collective tarot card readings that we have weekly. All right, don't forget, look down below. Enjoy the rest of their episode. So, something else that made me think about this is because whenever the person asked me to hold their money and I said no, they was like, "Man, you gonna do me like that?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I've been staying in this apartment for a couple years now. I'm lucky to have it, and the price of apartments back then, I was not gonna find anywhere else. Not income based. Not if I had a charge, man. Won't nobody trying to mess with me like that if that had happened. So, um, I just came up with the scenario. Let's say because whenever people tell you to hold something of theirs, instead of them telling you what they're going to pay you, instead of them telling you what you can get out of the deal, which is usually something that's going to benefit them, so it's not so much of a loss. It's just enough to say I gave you something, you know. And if you're ever in that situation, I believe that you should set the stipulations and the rules and what's going to happen if you say yes, and this is what they have to stand by. It's not any well, you hold my money and I give you $50. No, that's not what's going to happen. So let's play the scenario as if they're asking you to hold $20,000 for them, and the only reason I can think of somebody asking you to hold that much money is because they're about to go to jail or prison for a few years, or their spot is hot and they just need to hide whatever they have for a little bit of time, right? So let's say it's $20,000. This is where the question comes in: what would you do with somebody else's money? Let's say they ask you to hold $20,000 while they go to jail or prison. Let's just say 5 years. Okay, let's just say they go for 5 years. Well, if somebody asks you to hold $20,000, what would you do with it? I've also seen on that balloon show where somebody said, if I gave you $50,000, what would you do with it? And people like, I would invest it. I've heard some people say I would hold it for you. I wouldn't spend it. I would double it. I would flip it and all this stuff. But here's the thing. Even if I live in income-based housing, but let's just say I live in a nice apartment or I have a nice house, I have a mortgage and stuff. If you ask me to hold your $20,000 for 5 years, and I say, yes, I'll hold it, you're not coming back home to $20,000. No, you're not. Especially if it is a woman being asked this by her boyfriend or her partner, lover, fiance, whatever title they try to give themselves before they go away to make sure that you're going to be loyal to them while they're gone. Okay. So if you are gone for 5 years and you give me $20,000, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take some of that money to help pay my rent and my mortgage. And if you're saying, no, those are your bills, yeah, they are my bills. However, at this point, they are our bills because this house or this apartment is holding you hear me? This house or apartment is holding something that belongs to you. So you have storage fees. Not only that, if you're my boyfriend, my fiance, my husband, my partner, my lover, my whatever you call yourself being, my friend, even if you're my brother or if you're my father and you expect to have somewhere to stay when you get out of prison, don't you think that you should pay your part? You mean to tell me that you get to go to prison for 5 years and still come home to a nice place to stay? and have your full $20,000? No, that's not going to work. And if you think about it, even if you don't think about it, let me put this little bug in your ear. $20,000 flat out is not going to pay rent or mortgage for 5 years anywhere. So the fact that you have some money left and a place to stay, that's a plus. So yeah, I get to take some money out for that. Not only that, if you think that I'm going to come and visit you while you are in jail or in prison over that 5 year span, don't you think, or even if you don't think, let me put this bug in your ear, you're going to have to help maintain the vehicle that I'm driving to come and see you. Gas isn't free. Car maintenance isn't free. And over a 5 year span, I'm going to have to get at least one or two sets of tires. I'm going to have to get oil changes. And I'm going to have to make sure these payments are made on this car and the insurance. So I'm going to take a little bit of money for that. Also, I know you don't want me stressed and depressed and worrying about you. So I'm going to take some of that money out for some of my self care. Now, yes, I could say I could use my money, but listen, this is what you want to come home to. You want me to come up to the jail or the prison looking like somebody. You want me to be in good spirits, and you want me to come back home. You are going to lose some of that $20,000 messing with me. Because there is no way I'm going to keep up my lifestyle and keep up your lifestyle, and then you come home to the whole $20,000 that you had. If you want your whole $20,000, or if you want a little extra on that, you are going to have to put it in something like a you could put it in a savings account. You could put it in a trust, whatever all those options are. You can do that. You can invest it into some stocks. You can do whatever you want to if you want to grow your money. But as far as me holding it, as far as me having a risk with holding it, no, you're not coming home to $20,000. And I wish more people thought like that because guess what? Whenever I was talking about earlier about fear, about well, I want to be loyal. They might break up with me. They might not be with me. They might let somebody else hold the money and all that stuff. Who cares? Because here's something else. If they really want somebody to hold that money, if you won't do it, they'll find somebody else who will. Hopefully, you know, fortunately for them, they maybe they're fortunate enough to find somebody to hold it. But think about that. If you won't do it, somebody else will. Now, back in the day, that line used to have people in a chokehold. If you won't do it, I'll find somebody else who will. If you won't do it, I'll find somebody else who will. We're like, no, 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 no. Okay, 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 I'll do it. I'll be like, well, find them then. If you knew somebody else, you wouldn't have came to me. I'm not doing it. There's no way I'm gonna hold $20,000 of your money for 5 years and then let you still come here. No, you might as well go bury it in the backyard. Go bury it in the woods. Go bury it somewhere where can't nobody get it, can't nobody spend it, and it's all yours when you get out. But I'm not gonna have a place for you to stay because I'm gonna tell you something. There's nothing like maintaining and holding something down for somebody else to come in and benefit from it or take advantage of it as if they've done something. No, you are not the man of a house that I paid all the bills in. You are not the man of the vehicle that I drive that I've had to maintain ever since I've had it. So I'm just wanting to put this out there in case you're ever in a situation where you're down on your luck and somebody comes to you with something that seems like an opportunity and you feel like you want to jump on it. Do not jump at everything that comes before your eyes because everything that glitters is not gold. You'll be sitting in jail for somebody who let you hold $20,000 when they let somebody else hold $50,000 and split it with them. You don't have to live like that. You don't have to live in fear. You don't have to live in risk of losing your stuff for somebody else. Is there anybody in this world worth losing everything for everything that you've worked hard for? Is there anybody in this world worth you losing what you're working towards, even if you're a quarter of the way, even if this is your first day at working towards it, even if you're halfway there, even if you have most of it and all you gotta do is cross the finish line? Is it worth you losing what you have or what you're working towards? Is it worth you losing that for somebody who wouldn't give a damn if you lost it? You see what I'm saying? It's okay if they find somebody else to do it. Sometimes that's a blessing in disguise when they say, "Look, if you won't do it, I'll find somebody else who will." Oh, thank you. You know what? I was hoping you would say that. I was hoping you would find somebody else because I can't do this thing right here. I can't. Hey, Real quick, are you enjoying the episode so far? I surely hope so. I want to remind you that all of the details for this episode are down below in the show notes, so do not forget to check that out. And also, I want to remind you that you can go ahead and sign up to be a part of my emailing list. I have so many great things coming up this season, and I want you to be a part of it. So, look in the show notes below, leave a comment on how you like this episode, and I hope to hear from you all soon. Enjoy the rest of the episode. And if you all have never lived in income-based housing, guess what? It's almost like it's not like Section 8 because on Section 8 you have to find somewhere to stay. You get approved, then you have to find somewhere to stay. With income-based housing, you find the apartment and then you apply for it and hope that you get it, and they give you this rent that is inexpensive to a lot of people, but if it's income-based, it could be expensive to you. Okay, but you don't want to lose that. And there's a whole lot of, they come in and do inspections. They check your rooms, they check your bathrooms, they make sure nobody else's things are in there to imply that somebody else is staying with you. They do all that stuff. So you don't want to lose that opportunity because of somebody else. This is your home. You have to treat it like your home. No matter where you live, you have to treat it like your home. You have to treat your things like they are yours. You have to protect your space, your peace, your belongings, your lifestyle, your sanity. You have to protect all those things. Don't let anybody come in and bother that. And like I said, people come in whenever you're in a state of depression, when you're in a state of need, and they feel like you're doing you a favor. So don't ever get caught up in that. I don't know who is listening to this. I don't know if you're my age. I don't know if you're older. I don't know if you're younger. I don't know if you can be easily manipulated. I don't know if you can be easily confused with the difference between love and like and scams. I don't know where you are in your life, but do not choose to be a ride or die chick when you do not have to be a ride or die chick. Do not choose to be doing favors for somebody who's not going to pay you back, or who is not going to pay you handsomely. There is too many opportunities in this life, even though you may end up having low paying jobs. What you call that? Minimum wage. Even if you have a minimum wage job, even if you live somewhere you don't want to right now, I'm a living testimony that it could take years. It could take decades. Decades. Yeah, decades is 10 years. I'm thinking, yeah, a decade. It could take decades for you to get where you want to be, but you'll get there if you just keep pressing and you keep doing what you're supposed to do. But don't let nobody come in and see what you have or see what you're working towards and let them mess it up. Okay? And don't be afraid to tell people no. Do not be afraid to tell people no. Don't let people stay over at your house for one night. Oh, I'm in town, thought I was staying by. And you have to use your intuition. You have to use your gut feeling. You have to use the red flags. You have to use your eyes and say, I can see right through this. You trying to move in. I can see right through this. You trying to see what I got in my house so you can take it. You trying to get people over here. You trying to take over what I have going on. You have to use your eyes and you have to be mindful of what you're doing. Okay? So I just wanted to come on here and say that episode. If you had somebody else's money, what would you do with it? Would you be silly enough to say, "Yeah, I'll hold this for you till you get out, and I'm gonna give you all of it"? Cause why? What you want? Bragging rights? Because that person chose you? You want bragging rights because you had $20,000 that you did not touch, but you out here on welfare? Public assistance, income based housing, the projects, living in somebody's basement, living in somebody else's house that's charging you extreme rent. You're riding the city bus. You're trying to Uber everywhere. Your credit is bad. You don't have a lot of money. You can't have any fun. You're waiting for your next check that's going to come in about 7 days, and you've already spent the check that you've already gotten. Don't let people don't let people put you in a position to where you are worse off than you were before you met them. Don't let people make offers to you that is really going to ruin your life. And if you are a mother, if you are a father, if you have children who are looking up to you, do not make that mistake in front of them, because you have to keep in mind they follow our footsteps. They do what we do. Even if they don't understand it, they do what we do because that's what they see. All right. So I just wanted to say that if you're going to take a risk, make sure it's worth it. But don't lose everything of yours for somebody else. All right. So that's my episode for today. What would you do with somebody else's money? I would spend it. I would spend it. I would spend it on what you would spend it on. And like I said, if you're gone for 5 years and you asked me to hold $20,000, where were you going to find somewhere to stay for $20,000 over a 5 year period? That means that's $4,000 a year. $4,000 a year going towards somewhere to stay. Yeah, you lucky that you have somewhere to stay. That's just all I have to say about that. So don't ask me to hold any money because it ain't gonna work. All right. So I'll talk to y'all next time. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Thank you so very much for the continued support. I hope that you will get your tarot read by A Cup of Stars Tarot. Just hit me up with that. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye. Wait, before you go, did you enjoy this episode? Well, listen to some of my other episodes. I'm pretty sure you'll like those too. And while you're at it, take a moment to join my emailing list at girlfriendletmetellyou.com. You do not want to miss what I have coming up for you. Thank you again, as always, for your continued support and share this with somebody. Tell them about me. I'd appreciate that too.